physically release that energy, okay? Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Carolina, the creator of The Color Caro, and here's where you can come to talk about death, dying, spirituality, art. So today I really wanted to talk about grief. We're all in quarantine, we're all experiencing this pandemic, and I thought it was really important to come on here and talk about the ways in which we can move through this grief. And so first I wanted to talk about what is grief. So grief is known as a keen sense of suffering, sorrow from experiencing a loss or trauma. And I think that we can all agree that we are experiencing some degree of grief at this moment in time. And so a lot of us may have heard of the 5 stages of grief. But what we may not know is that it actually comes from the Kubler-Ross model, which is a series of interviews done for the terminally ill, in which it was determined that there were generally 5 stages that the terminally ill went through after receiving their diagnoses. Stage number 1, denial. So denial looks a lot like, oh my gosh, this cannot be happening right now. And I know for sure that I have experienced denial during COVID-19, but more so in the beginnings of it, when I would look through my phone and I would see these headlines, and honey, I felt like, okay, this is happening elsewhere and it's not gonna hit New York, because of course New York is untouchable. Stage number 2, anger. Anger really rides the wave of denial, because if denial is really burying your feelings down below, anger is your feelings exploding, because we all know you can't bury your feelings. It just doesn't work that way. And so anger looks like having a lot of resentment, and it can be directed towards people, towards yourself, towards systems. And I know for me, I've definitely felt angry towards the United States of America. Capitalism sucks. What's good is that this pandemic has revealed that capitalism is not sustainable, and we all deserve living wages and universal health care. Stage number 3 is bargaining. So bargaining looks like wanting to make a deal with God, kind of. It's saying, if only I would have done this, this would have happened. And at least for me, during COVID-19, I definitely had thoughts of, if only I would have had better financial planning, savings, finesse, da-da-da, I wouldn't be worrying so much during this time. Capitalism is not sustainable. Stage number 4 is depression. And so depression can be a long-standing sense of sorrow, tiredness, and just general lack of joy in the things that used to bring you joy. And as someone with a history of mental health issues, I intimately understand this one. Depression during COVID-19 can very much be this lethargic, just sense of like, I'm doing nothing and it's exhausting. And that is valid, sis. It is valid. I'm sorry. We can just do the best that we can, but this is why we have this video. Stage number 5, acceptance. Acceptance is pretty much, you have a sense of peace and you have really come to terms with what has been dealt. And just so you know, these 5 stages, they don't necessarily all happen in order. We're complicated beings, and so it really depends on each person, the order in which they show up, how many times they repeat. Maybe today I've accepted it and tomorrow I'm depressed again. Healing is not a linear process. It is basically. Okay, so what I also wanted to bring up today was transgenerational trauma. Transgenerational trauma is the idea that trauma transforms our literal DNA, our literal genetics, and it is passed down from generation to generation. So that means that whatever my grandparent, great-grandparent, all the way back, whatever that they have experienced, it literally changed their DNA, and therefore it was passed down onto me. So it's really important for us to consider the ways in which we're allowing grief to transform our literal DNA, and how we therefore will give that to our children. It is said that when you heal generational trauma, you heal 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. And honestly, it's hard work, but I'm trying to be a part of the winning team, okay? So, what do I do to help me move through my grief and trauma? I just have to laugh at myself because let me just tell you, self-quarantining, yeah, it's been hard, but I've honestly been self-quarantined for like the last 3 years. So this is very familiar territory to me, and dealing with grief is something I've been dealing with my entire life. So I'm glad that we're doing this journey together now. Anyways, so what do I do to help me move through grief? And this list isn't done in any particular order. 1, yoga and stretching. So I have something called sciatica, which is a hernia and compression of my sciatic nerve, which when it's triggered, it can cause leg pain all the way down to my foot. And so when that is flared up, I really have to get into the yoga stretching vibe. But it's been really helpful for me to actually stretch and do some yoga when I'm feeling sad or angry, because actually, like I just said, with generational trauma, it lives in our body. So that tension, that grief, it lives in our body, and it tightens us up. And so it's really important for us to do what we can to physically release that energy, okay? And feel a little limber. And I set a little bit of intention that with each stretch, with each release of some muscle tension, I'm releasing some pain, some anger, some grief, whatever it is. Number 2, nature. Go hug a tree. So I'm a big tree lover, and I understand it might be embarrassing to actually go to a random park and hug a tree. And mind you, I live in the Bronx, so it's not like I could just hop into a fucking forest and there's no one around and I could just hug up on a tree. No, I go to the regular park, and so what I do is, I used to hug trees, but now I kind of just like put my hand on them. It's still a little awkward sometimes, but I just put my hand on it, I lean on it, and I just look out, you know, like, who cares? We're out here healing trauma. Nobody got time to be embarrassed, you feel me? Whatever. Basically, trees, I see them as strong and still, and just these magical beings that have been here for longer than I've existed and have seen more than I can imagine. And they're all connected through the roots in the earth. And I just feel like they have the power to transform carbon dioxide into oxygen. Why wouldn't you have the power to take away my sadness and transform it into something that would help nature? You feel me? Number 3, taking a salt bath. I'm a pretty spiritual person, if you couldn't tell already. And so taking a bath is a really soothing, romantic, sexy little thing to do. You feel me? But I understand that not everybody's gonna wanna put the effort to throw in a bunch of herbs and do a whole full ritual, and that's fine. You can really put a cup or two of Epsom salt in your bath, let it dissolve. Literally, athletes use this to release tension in their muscles after an intense workout, and just rub-a-dub-dub, you feel me? Just lay, just let the water do the work for you. Okay? And it's really nice and relaxing. I personally love bubbles, so I add a bubble bath in there for that childlike joy, and voila, spend 20-30 minutes up in there. Feel good as new after. Number 3, nap at your altar. And okay, again, I understand that not maybe everyone here is a spiritual person. Maybe not everyone has a altar that they have, but napping, everyone does have access to. I personally nap at the altar when I'm feeling really sad or defeated, just weak. Like I have no words to pray. I have no tears to cry. I'm just exhausted. And I nap at my altar, and usually when I do that, I wake up way more energized than I was before. It wasn't just a regular nap. It was like a supercharged nap that the ancestors just like did their thing over me. I don't know, but it's just what I do. Number 4, cry at the altar. Again, you may not have an altar, so just cry, and that's okay. But for me, I feel like doing work at your altar is really powerful because it just gives it that extra piece of surrendering to the universe, the higher power, and asking for help from your ancestors and your spirit guides. So I feel like it really adds a next level to self-care practices when you do it as an offering or plead at your altar. Honestly, I don't know what number I'm at, 5. I like to eat. I am a Taurus, so comfort food is no stranger to me. I particularly have a sweet tooth, so I really like to just indulge in whatever it is that I'm feeling that day. But I find that what's really helpful is actually cooking, just getting lost in cutting up the vegetables and really creating something and making a mess, cleaning it up, putting on a podcast, or just being really present in that experience. I find time just really flies, and it's meditative, truly. And I know it's not one of those things that a lot of people can do when they are feeling depressed and down and are low energy. So maybe just indulging in what your favorite food is at that time would be really helpful. Okay, everyone, so I obviously didn't cover all the ways in which you can move through grief, cure your grief, but I just wanted to share some of the ways that I do it during this time and during a lot of times, to be honest. There are other things like journaling, phoning a friend, planting / gardening, dancing. There are many things, many things, but I just wanted to share the main things that popped into my head today. Okay, y'all, so thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, as I will be pumping out videos on a regular basis. I haven't decided if I want to do every week or every other week, but I definitely want to do at least 2 videos a month. I really just want to use this time to tap into the things that I've always wanted to do and has scared me, and just allow this time to not just be about death and grief, but to be about rebirth And so I want to do this with you all. And so please comment, let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about. Let me know how grief has been moving through your body, how you've been moving through this whole process. And please also ask me any questions that you want to know about me, as I do want to do an about me video soon. Many blessings. Good luck. Mwah.